Welcome to Crushing 1L, a podcast about hanging on by a literal thread every day. I'm Aaminah, I'm a 1L at UCLA Law, and I'm joined by Abhi, a 1L at Penn Law. Abhi, welcome.
Hi, Amina. It's so great to be here. Our update is that it's almost Thanksgiving. I don't know if that counts as an update. That's just like almost like a calendorial
It's just a
truth.
fact,
It's
yeah.
it is like a fact of physics and time and space. But this podcast should be coming out almost exactly a week before Thanksgiving. And I just think that time flies when you're sobbing uncontrollably. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I concur. I have been, well, not sobbing uncontrollably, but ooh, right there, so close. And time
Yeah,
has been flying this semester. Whoa, how did
yeah,
we even? It's like people are like, ugh. Sorry.
dude.
Yeah, I'm just
No,
like,
I
I'm not
relate.
even
I do
in
relate.
my,
I do relate to that. I know exactly what you mean.
it's really not in my mind right now.
Do you remember when it was summer, when it was July, and we were
Remember when we
like,
thought this was gonna be like a cool experience?
wow, let's record these episodes, and we'll have so many like in advance, and it was like the sun was out, and like the weather was warm, and we hadn't started, and we were like, wow, this is so gonna be so fun.
Yeah. Oh my god. We were so naive. Oh my
It is
goodness.
fun. It is fun.
It's something.
It is fun.
Speaking of the sun being out and the weather being great, um, it's been raining in Los Angeles, which always brings out the best in people here. Um, you know, my roommate is from the East Coast, and I don't have many like coats. And specifically I don't have many waterproof coats. So like I recently acquired like a black puffer jacket and I pulled it out and she looked at me and she goes, "You're gonna wear that?" And I was like, whoa. Apparently like it was not like it was just too much for the amount like for the weather that we were experiencing. So I was shamed into not wearing my black puffer jacket and I was mostly fine. Um
Well, because rain in LA is just that's like a precipitory event. That has actually no bearing on the temperature. It's probably still 75.
I mean, it's what is it? Like I think we're in the 60s. Yeah, it's 60 right now. I
Oh,
mean,
freezing.
it's been serious rain though. Like serious rain. I think we're the wettest region in the country right now. Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
Um, I when I wake up, my Alexa wakes me up and she plays the radio, and it's awesome. And it helps me like I leave my phone outside of my bedroom because I wake up to like my alarm clock and stuff. But she also gives me like the temperature when she wakes me up, and she has been starting the temperature with the number 3 recently
Hmm.
here in Philly. She
Hmm.
said, "Good morning. It's 35 degrees outside. Here's your radio station." And that is one of the ways of waking up of all time. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fall, you guys.
It
November
is
is
fall.
probably I've seen on many social media posts, November is the worst month for law students. And I'm
Why do you
kind
think that
of
is?
Gosh, why would that be? Um, I, if I had to guess, it's probably like the closeout of all your classes, the impending doom of finals approaching. I mean, for us, one else, Abby, you guys have the good fortune of being done with your memo, but many of us are
Yeah.
not.
Oh, dude. Okay, yeah. And shout out to Stefan, our teammate here at the Demon. His UT, he goes to UT Austin. Their 1L class just got their memo assigned last week. And I owe you, Stefan, I owe you an email or a text because we're going to talk about your memo. I have some advice. I'm sorry. But Amina, it could be worse. It could have just been like it could have just started. I don't know. I don't know how y'all do this. Our memo was due, done, and dusted by October 26th. All praise, all praise goes to Penn Law School, Penn Cary Law.
Right.
Hook 'em,
On
hook
that
'em, sick
one,
'em.
on that one, I have to concede. Like, I this is certainly not my preferred method. I think are making things unnecessarily difficult and stressful. Also, I mean, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but also Big Law adding to that is just, I think it's a violation of the Eighth Amendment. But you know, neither here
Yeah.
nor there.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I think that November is stressful partially because it truly is you blink and you're here. It's been 2.5, almost 3 months, and you blink and you're here. So there's a whole semester's worth of content to reckon with in each class, which it's just kind of building up and up and up in your brain, and your brain's like, oh, that's kind of a lot to remember all at once. Because when you first, like the first few weeks, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we've learned like three things. You can kind of hold three things in your brain. Now it's like 50 or 60 things per class. And that's a lot of things. And so you're thinking about your outline, you're thinking about classes wrapping up. When this podcast comes out, it'll be a week till Thanksgiving. So roughly like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks left in class. And then we have 1 or 2 weeks of kind of reading period, and then exams start. So we're here in the home stretch. I think our central nervous systems are uh, acknowledging the
Hmm.
realities of that, and that can be really like internally really devastating. Um,
Yeah.
but but at the same time, I think it's totally fine. I think we're totally fine.
You say that a lot.
I think it's totally fine.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, like, it's fine because it is, like, what it is. You can't,
Yeah,
undo the past, so whatever, but, like,
yeah.
I'm not I wouldn't say it's fine, I just would say, like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's
C'est
more
la
my
vie.
position.
C'est la vie bohème. Um, the rent is due. Just pay your rent.
Yeah.
The whole plot of that musical, if they just paid their rent. Anyway, that's our big picture update. And yeah, like acknowledging time. But I think
Mm.
related to that, our second topic, Amina. Now that we are acknowledging time, what do we do? What are we doing as we wrap the semester up? How are you going about your outlining? How are you thinking about maybe doing practice exams? And these are different from the practice exams that we might get like assigned as midterms or assigned in class. I mean, like practice exams that you or your friends might do for study purposes. And then, are you studying with people? I want to hear all about your process. How's it going?
Okay. Well, so I think like where I'm at in that process right now, I mean, again, we're very much in memo land and like it's really hard to think about anything outside of that. And classes are still going, so there's still reading to do for classes like actively every week right now. Although, again, like we're coming to also incoming to Thanksgiving, we're also coming to the end of classes, so like that will also wind down soon. But in terms of, like, how I'm gonna be approaching studying for finals, um, I think kind of just revamping the outlines that I started towards my midterm, like, really analyzing, like, firstly, like, with the context of my midterm, like, where were the gaps in what I understood, in relation to the midterm, and then also, yeah, just kind of building in this information, trying to kind of like make like outlines and sorry, not outlines, but like checkpoints and like templates of like how problems should function specifically
Yeah,
for contracts. Like I know our professor said like it would be really good to have like kind of like a blank um checklist where it's like when you have certain like claims or certain issues, like you're just able to like take the facts and like put them into the checklist. And that way you can kind of keep track and make sure like you're hitting every point. So yeah, as I have time in between doing memo stuff, I'll start working on doing that. In terms of studying with other people, so when I did my midterm studying, I studied with other people, and like that was good because that was good in the sense that it allowed me to like hear from other people and like pick up things that maybe I didn't have in my own notes or in my own outlines, that other people did. However, like at the same time, it was also I felt like I maybe like did it a bit prematurely in terms of like developing my own materials and then going in to study with people. Because I feel like when I went to study with people, I was like, oh, like we're going to develop these things together and like we're gonna learn together. And I think it's more useful if you like come in ready to go and then like can have like a more meta conversation after that. So if when I study with people, it will be later in this process. Yeah.
definitely. I definitely agree with that. I've started studying with other people, and it's been super, super helpful when everybody comes with some semblance of notes already taken, some outlines already, kind of forming, so that we can have more of a discussion about the stuff and kind of hammer out the stuff that we are unclear about, rather than feeling like we are doing a line by line like review of everything. I think
Hmm.
that can be really, really time consuming. I don't know if that's the most efficient way of doing study groups. So I think I've been really lucky to study with people who kind of bring questions, or we work on problems and we review answers to problems, or we work on practice exams and we review our answers to practice exams. The outlining isn't interesting. I think it is something that we're building on that we already have. You like at this point you already have notes. You have
Hmm.
something, and all outlines are just building up your notes. So I think everybody at this point is kind of looking at their database, so to speak, and going, okay, what am I going to pull from? What's important, what's not. The checklist thing is so huge, so huge. Have like an attack outline or a piece of paper on one page that's like for contracts, like what are the issues for contract formation? What are the issues for XYZ? So that when you do read the fact pattern, like you just said, Amina, just plug them into your checklist and see what comes out. Although I do think that takes a certain mastery of reading and understanding fact patterns that I simply do not have yet. I am working on that skill. I read a fact pattern and I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there. So
Yeah.
I need to work on that. But that's I think part of that is doing more. Part of that is revising old answers to practice problems. Part of that is looking at model answers
Hmm.
for practice exams and going, okay, what did a good student, what did a good answer look like? How can I make my sentences look more like that? I kind of struggle at the sentence level. I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
how do you even write a sentence about stuff?
I
You
mean,
know?
yeah, that can definitely be difficult in terms of like expressing yourself clearly.
Yeah, clearly, concisely, because there's word limits oftentimes or page limits to
Hmm.
these exams, and you can't just take 10 sentences to write what maybe you could have written in one sentence.
Yeah. I think like kind of the big focus in terms of like taking exams that I've heard a lot is like really prioritization of like the issues in terms of like again like step one is being able to parse the fact pattern and like know what's in there, so there's that. But then once you've done that, like what does the fact pattern spend the most time talking about? Like that's what you need to spend the most time talking about. So in
Yeah.
terms of like I mean like on the sentence level there's still that issue of like not overloading your sentences, but like in terms of like an overall structure of your exam, like there's definitely a way to approach that that can help with um allotting your time and efforts appropriately.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to get better at writing responses to fact patterns. Um, that is its own skill. It seems like it
Mm,
is maybe something that we have not been honing throughout the semester. At least for me, I'll speak for myself. But I think that I really am excited to get better at it.
yeah, I'm excited to just I can't even say be done with the semester because I feel like it doesn't really end because you roll into like winter break and like a separate set of things that you get into in winter break in terms of like jobs and whatnot. But
Yeah,
yeah,
job stuff. I mean, hey, some of us like we've been direct applying. Some interviews are already happening this semester, and our Penn's OCI is happening in January. So actually, before second semester starts, people have gone through OCI at Penn, and we may or may not have jobs before the first day of second semester. So that's crazy.
yeah,
Um, and that's certainly one way of doing things. And in some ways, it might relieve some pressure. We might go into second semester totally focused on school. In other ways, it might just distract people. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it functions. We also like recently signed up for second semester classes, which I think we
hmm,
briefly talked about a week or two ago. But um, I'm really excited to take some electives too. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
What do you know what electives you're taking?
I know what I ranked. So I ranked admin law and intellectual property, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I think I will likely get into them, but it's unclear. I ranked a couple of alternatives as well. Do you know what you're taking next semester?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last time we talked about it, but I'm taking, I mean, my
Oh, we
elective
did
is,
talk about this.
yeah, one of my electives is just a doctrinal, which is crim law, but the
Yeah,
other one is an entertainment class. So,
very cool. Yeah, we
yeah.
have to take crim, so there's no choice
I
there.
mean,
But I'm
we
excited.
have to, but they are like, you can elect to take it right now or you can take it later. Um,
Interesting,
yeah,
interesting. I think I'm electing to not take property, so
as am
that's an
I.
elect. Yeah, so there's an elective there too.
Well, but you don't have to like you don't have to take it to like it's not part of your like graduation requirements.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Hmm. I think it's part of ours. Like I think it's like you have to take property, you just don't have to take it right now.
Sounds like a 3L problem to me. Anyways, tons of stuff to look forward to over the next couple
Yeah,
weeks. Tons of stuff to look forward to next semester. Um, something to look forward to right now, Amina. Segue. Listener
looking forward
comments and
to it.
questions.
Oh, right, of course, of course. Okay. Do you want to start us off?
I mean, maybe you should read this one because you're the PI person between the two of us.
Okay. Okay.
Not to label you with that identity, but
I feel like you just like I almost feel like exposed and not because like I don't have any public interest. It's just like it's not the way I would identify.
right.
Um and I feel like you just like I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like whatever it is, that's what you just did to me.
That's so fair.
Um
That's so fair.
anyway, well okay. This is the question from Epic Pro of Minecraft. Okay, so he asks, well, David, hi David. David asks, one question I have for you all is about the importance of recruiting events during 1L year for students interested in public interest. Is it mostly big law firms that are recruiting so aggressively in the first year at this point? In an odd sense, are folks who are more interested in pursuing public interest better positioned to get good grades than students interested in big law? And then for further thought, is big law recruiting weakening potential big law hires? Um, lots to unpack there. First and foremost, is are the big law firms like the ones that are recruiting so aggressively? I think that's kind of the main presence on campus. I mean, between our two campuses, I think it's fair to say like big law is the main recruiting presence. Um, I don't I mean, there's definitely like public interest panels and conversations happening. Um, and despite the way that Avi labeled me, I hadn't really stepped into my public until like recently. So, um, I can't really speak to like how much of that there is on campus earlier in the semester, but like there's definitely and like without question a huge big law presence on campus, and I think it's way stronger than the public interest presence. Um, so I would say I think the answer to that question is yes. And then secondly, are folks who are more interested in pursuing public interest better positioned to get good grades? I wouldn't go that far because I feel like there's a motivation for big law, people who are interested in big law to get good grades, especially if you're interested in 1L big law. Um, yeah, a lot of I mean, firms have great GPA cutoffs, so it's like it's not like you're just like, "Oh, like, I'm gonna do this interviewing and recruiting and applying and networking, and that's how I'm gonna get the job." Like, the grades are still really the determining factor. I mean, even to the point where it's like, despite the fact that big law firms are doing this recruiting right now, like, a lot of them allegedly, theoretically, are saying that they're gonna be waiting for grades to drop to really, make those final confirmations, so I don't think it really, like, puts you in a better position necessarily, but I've been talking. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think that big law recruiting could be a distraction if somebody was really, really undisciplined about how many events they were going to and how they were spending their time. However, I think that when you go to a great law school, I think you're surrounded by pretty disciplined people. So most of the people that I've interacted with are being really cautious with how and when they spend their time. So they'll go to a couple events every week, but they'll only go for a couple hours and it will never beat the expense of studying, I think. um, I've had no trouble balancing the big law stuff and the studying. I think that there's plenty of time in the day. You can spare a couple hours to go have a drink and have a conversation with an attorney. In fact, again, putting my big law shill hat on, big law firms, if you're listening, I'm on your team. And like actually, unironically, I think that the silver lining of recruiting happening so early is that we spend a lot of time in our academic ivory tower reading from case books about people that don't seem real and attorneys that don't seem real and cases that don't seem real. And then I think going to these events a couple times a week and talking to attorneys who actually do real stuff and contextualizing all of the stuff we're learning in school with real big law careers or real law careers, legal careers, is really, really important. The other side of the same coin is that because big law has stepped up, I also think public interest has stepped up. There's more and more public interest recruiting happening this semester. And usually public interest is like, we don't need to worry about that. Students who want to do public interest will just come find us. And I think that's kind of, I don't want to attack anybody. Like, this is with all the love in the world. I think sometimes public interest organizations take public interest students for granted. Like, they just think, oh, if you really want to help people, then you'll come do public interest. You'll never even be tempted by big law. But I think with how accelerated the things are this year, I think public interest organizations are waking up and saying, wait, we might lose some people to this because people haven't even thought about this or made up their minds. And so now we have like prosecutors' offices coming to talk to us. We have people that work in nonprofit organizations coming to talk to us. We have all sorts of attorneys and like non-big law legal organizations coming to campus because they're realizing, wait a second, we can't take students for granted. People are still making up their minds. We're still so early in the process. We need to make an impression and we need to tell people what it's like to do public service, whether that means going to work for a local government. We had somebody come and talk to us at Penn, and the pitch of his whole spiel was, go back to your hometown, right? Those kinds of speeches and those kinds of talks weren't happening before because I think it was kind of just a moot point. It was kind of taken for granted that if you really wanted to go serve your community, you would just do it. But now I think people are realizing, wait a second, firms are coming in and offering a pretty good deal to 1Ls in their first semester. Maybe we need to come and talk to them and tell them, remind them, hey, remember why you came to law school? You want to go home and serve your community? Well, here's a grown-up adult attorney telling you to do that too. So I think it's actually maybe a good thing. There's silver linings. There's good parts to all of this. I will also say that I think I hit, those are the two big things, right? Like, does PI recruiting happen? I think yes. Does big law recruiting weaken potential big law recruits? I think no. I think the people interested in these firms are going to figure out their grades regardless of the situation.
Yeah, I think I concur. I mean, I definitely have a different position than you in terms of like the accelerated recruiting timeline, but in the general scope of this question, like I think I concur with those
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
mainline summaries.
And if you want a third perspective, Stefan, I think, answered it at length too in the YouTube comment that we're talking about. So this is the comment on the last episode. And it's the Epic Pro of Minecraft, which is an awesome username, David. But it's David's comment, and Stefan kind of opines as well. So you have like three demon perspectives on this question. I think it's a great question. I think a lot of firms are asking themselves this. I think a lot of schools are asking themselves this. We'll see how 1L goes after this year. I think it might be one for the history books, but we'll figure it out.
Uh, do not want to be living through history, but sure. Okay. But thank you,
Yeah.
David, for listening, and thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
I also, another listener comment, not really a question, but another comment that I wanted to highlight. This is from Legally Miss D. Damn, can't believe Penn has so many non-graded assignments. My midterms were worth 25%. The finals were 75. Sucks for you, Lil Miss D. We had 2 timed CREACs, part 1 of torts and criminal law finals, and a timed IRAC last week. We still have part 2 of the criminal law and torts finals that are 2 hours long. Brother, I can't relate. I simply cannot relate. Folks, free advertising for Penn Carey Law. Come to Penn Carey Law. The finals are your only grade, and that's kind of awesome. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but hey, say levy. Say levy. It is what it is. We also have, Aaminah, not to throw it back to you again, but we have another kind of PI comment. I don't know if you want to address Janine's comment here as our resident PI expert.
Oh my gosh. Yikes. I really just cannot emphasize enough. I can't be the expert right now because I don't have enough information, but we'll get back to you.
Wow.
Nonetheless,
It sounds like you're not interested in helping the public, and that's so sad.
what was that, Big Law Shill?
But I'm open. At least I'm open about it. I have my Big Law Shill hat on. I'm open about it, but I don't know.
I think anyway. Okay, I digress.
I am. This is me rage baiting Aaminah. So Like, to be clear.
From Janine. Janine says, as a career public service, public interest attorney, if pursuing big law doesn't serve you now, imagine what it will be like later. To thine own self be true. Um, I think points were made. Like, I think, again, as I said, like, Avi has a bit more of an optimistic perspective on the big law recruiting timeline. I am a bit more pessimistic. And I, I definitely feel like this is a relevant comment in so much that, like, if big law is willing to put you through this stress now, what will it be like working for them? Now, on the flip side, like, I do also like a little bit feel like it's like kind of a test in terms of like it is stressful, but like it also forces you to learn how to manage and deal with it. And that's something you'll definitely be encountering within your big law career. Like it's not going to
Yeah.
be stress free. So,
Yeah,
um,
managing dynamic timelines, managing competing
yeah,
interests and competing kind of priorities. That's what being an attorney is all about. And so whether you come out on the big law side or the public interest side or some combination thereof, because you don't have to pick one. But um, I think Janine's comment's awesome. To thine own self be true is really, really, really good advice. If you ever wake up and you feel like you're on a path that doesn't feel true to whatever you stand for, then that's like a moment where you need to like get on the phone and talk to somebody you trust, right? Like
mm,
call your mom, call your aunt, call your uncle, call your brother, call your, I don't know, your camp counselor from high school or something. Call your coach. Like you really need to, if you're embarking on a journey, you really need to believe in what you're doing. That's not to say you can't, like I think big law is the best choice for me, but that's for me. And there's peers of mine here at school that are kind of facing this conundrum where they're like, I feel like I should be doing this, but it doesn't feel true to what I stand for. And
yeah,
to those people, I say, hey, more power to you. Go do whatever feels right. That is the most important thing.
yeah. I mean, I definitely fall more into the camp of your peers where it's like I feel like I should be doing big law, but I don't know that it's actually like where I want to be and like where I should be
Yeah.
putting my efforts. So yeah, it's been an interesting semester. It's been an interesting couple of months.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last listener comment we have to shout out Allie. Allie commented back on our Spotify and she was like, it's crazy to hear my name on the podcast. Allie, this won't be the last time you hear your name. But you also said you would email us, and I don't think you did. So I don't know.
Maybe she
We're,
doesn't have an update yet. Like
maybe she doesn't have an update. Yeah, email us when you have an update. But don't worry, we're also crashing out. So if you feel
absolutely.
like you're crashing out, we're also crashing out. We're all crashing
Hmm.
out together.
Hmm.
Um, Amina, next
Avi.
topic, segue, current
Segue.
events, Kim Kardashian, topical. Thoughts?
I don't honestly don't think about Kim Kardashian that much because I have other things to think about, but I do know that she seems to every now and again pop it up in this law school conversation. She's taking the bar. Is that
She
her?
took the bar, and I don't think it went her way. She has been trying. Okay, now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. She's been trying to take the bar for years now. And I think she very recently passed California's baby bar. And the
Mhm.
reason, and I think we've probably covered this in the past episode, the amount of times Kim K has come up on our podcast is non zero. And that's much higher than I thought it would ever be.
Right.
I think a few weeks ago we gave an update that said she actually passed the baby bar. And for listeners, we could just recap very quickly. California has this really cool program where you don't have to go to law school to become an attorney. You can just apprentice under an attorney, and you can just work as kind of like an apprentice or a legal professional under a licensed attorney, and then eventually sit for the baby bar, which is California's way of kind of checking your progress and saying, "Hey, do you know the basics?" in order to sit for the big bar. And it took her a couple tries, I think. It took her two,
Mm.
three, four tries to pass the baby bar. She eventually did, which is actually huge. Like for a person who has never attended law school but has only apprenticed under a lawyer, to pass California's baby bar is actually quite the accomplishment. So kudos and to everybody who does that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which it made her eligible to sit for the actual California bar exam, which is one of the harder bar exams in the country.
Mm.
It did not go her way. People are kind of piling on. I think that it's a little unfair. I think a lot of people don't pass the California bar.
Yeah.
And
I'd agree with that.
yeah, and poor Miss Kardashian is just one of many, many people who did not pass the California bar this July. Uh, Above the Law does have a funny headline that I do have to read. Kim Kardashian failed the bar after psychics promised she'd pass. Too bad she can't sue them herself. And that's by Joe Patrice. Joe, kudos to you for the headline and then the sub headline. Incredible 1-2 punch. Kim, all love, no hate. That's a hilarious headline.
I mean,
Um,
I don't know, Abby. Sounds like for Kim Kardashian, all's fair.
Now here's the thing. Now here's the thing. I also don't think about Kim Kardashian.
Right.
But when every major news outlet, so not only above the Law is kind of like a niche, like kind of law themed news outlet,
Hmm.
but we're talking like I got a push notification from The Economist that was like Kim K failed the California bar and her TV show sucks too. And it's like, damn, kick a woman while she's down. What are we doing, dude? So, because apparently, okay, the whole thing stems back to she was the one who let us know. Obviously, nobody would know that she didn't pass the bar if Kim K didn't post about it. But of course, she's a
Right.
Kardashian, so her job is to post about her life. Very fair. She's very rich. She posted. She said, "I didn't pass the bar, so like I won't be. I'm not a lawyer yet. I just play one on TV." And everyone was like, "Wait, you play one on TV?" And it kind of prompted the whole internet and every journalist to go, "Where does Kim Kardashian play a lawyer on TV?" And it's on this show on Hulu called All's Fair. And it might quite possibly be the worst TV show ever created. And I did my own research. I watched the episode. I watched the first episode. Amina,
Abby.
this TV show has actresses such as Glenn Close, who
Yes.
is like an like
Yeah.
award-winning actress.
Yes.
Um, it has who's the other big name in
Sarah
it?
Paulson,
It
Niecy
has Sarah
Nash,
Paul.
Tiana Taylor. I don't,
Dude,
you know, I don't think the internet woke up to Kim Kardashian being in this show, like surprisingly. I think that might have been a you experience, but
that might
nonetheless,
have been
like
me. That might have been me. But this is an all-star cast, Amina. This is like
it is.
multiple
Yeah.
award-winning actresses on this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible show.
And I think it's Ryan Murphy, like a Ryan Murphy thing.
It's
So
Ryan Murphy of Glee and other show fame. Um, yeah, no, like all good pieces. But man, the writing is really bad. The dialogue is really bad. The law is really bad. I, these actresses are truly like world class actors are trying their hardest. They're giving like phenomenal performances, but the words coming out of their mouth, like the lines are the lines.
right.
The acting cannot undo the lines. The acting cannot do like the situations that the characters find themselves in. So bad, so bad. To quote this article by Joe Patrice, Kim Kardashian recently failed the bar, though she can take solace in knowing that she's still likely a better lawyer than anyone involved with writing All's Fair. Tough. Really, really tough. Yeah, people are really wrecking this. And again, like the New York Times has written about All's Fair being really bad. The Economist, the LA Times, every major publication is like, is this the worst show of all time? It might actually be in the running for worst show of all time, which is not that is not a light sentence.
Yeah, sounds like kind of a tough week for Kim Kardashian, but like, doesn't that make her really one of us? Like, doesn't that really bring her into our little baby lawyer class? Because we're all going through it, Kim. We're with you in different
A
ways,
hundred
but
percent, 100%.
yeah.
But also like let's be really real, and let's keep in mind that a tough week for Kim K is her posting about her failing the bar and mentioning her show, like not even directly, just indirectly
Yeah.
mentioning her show. And guess what
Yeah.
happened, Amina? That shit rocketed to the most watched on Hulu and the most watched on like whatever platforms it's streaming on. It is now like number one or two on every major streaming platform. So I don't like. Am I being played? Like, are we being? She is a business woman. She is a
Yeah.
mastermind. No notes. Kim is doing just
Yeah.
fine. Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. No notes.
Okay. Well, all right. That's that on Kim
That is
Kardashian.
that. Should I start a
Um,
segment where I talk about like a legal drama every week? and
A
how bad it
what?
is. Like a legal drama.
Like a TV show?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have time to watch a TV show every week and discuss how bad it is?
Sure, I can make time for that. See, it's back to what I was talking about. You can make time for the things that are important to you, folks. You can
Mm-hmm.
make time for the things important to you.
Okay, if
I
you
can
want
I can watch
Abby,
an episode.
yeah, if you want Abby to do that, let
Yeah.
us know. Leave a comment.
This is the fledgling start of my like media criticism career. So
Right, right.
Pulitzer
Um,
for criticism, here I come.
all right, off that, onto the wow this week. This is a word that I first saw introduced in contracts. Question mark. I think it was in contracts that I saw it. Yeah. Um, as like part of a rule, and then I saw it separately in a case not part of the rule, and I was like, wait a minute, I thought that was just like that word just existed in the rule, and it doesn't. Like it has its own meaning. So the word for this week is parole. Abby, are you familiar with this word?
I am familiar with this word. We also learned it in contracts. Um, I don't know the exact definition, but I think it's just like oral. Like, and I think it has all the letters in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of order, but it has all the letters in it.
Abby just lied to you guys. He does know the exact definition,
Oh,
and
do I?
not just because. Anyway, yes, he does. Um, so yeah, that's it. It's kind of it just is like oral. It's something that is expressed or sorry, let me read it from Cornell. Parole means given or expressed verbally or any agreement that is not contained within a written contract. So yeah, in terms of like the parole evidence rule, it's this evidence outside of the written terms of the contract. If you the way that I saw it in a case was that somebody had a parole option contract. So that would be an oral option contract to purchase a
Yeah.
house, I believe it was. But yeah, that's our word for this week, parole.
Yeah. Is
Not to be confused
that's
with parole with an E, which is
yeah,
something
that's
separate.
important.
Yeah.
Parole with an E is like parole, like control over somebody, after the fact of something.
Yeah, I mean, like in the legal sense, it's like when you're when a prisoner is released but not fully released before the end of their sentence, so they're still under supervision. It's a like a conditional release.
Yeah, conditional
Yeah,
release. But the parole, what we're talking about for contracts and for evidence, no E.
no E.
Um, no E. It's just stuff
Huge.
that's not in the contract. I wonder if did you read the same like option housing contract that we read? We read Masterson v. Sign
No,
for that.
no, ours was it was one of them was the Suttons and the other one was the Warners question mark
Got it. Got it. Yeah, it just
something
goes
like
to
that.
show, depending on your casebook and depending on your class, you're gonna like have different kind of catch-all like
Hmm.
contracts cases for certain things. Um, I would also be remiss to say, Amina, that a parole spelled exactly the same way is also a Filipino ornamental lantern displayed during the Christmas season. So Christmas season is coming up. To all of our Filipino listeners out there, parole you spell it the exact same way, but it's just different. It's just a
Yeah,
different thing.
it's just different.
It's
Yeah.
just different.
Anyways, I think that's all we've got for this week, unless I'm missing something.
I think so too. We tried to
All
keep this
right.
one short and sweet for you. And again, like not unrelated to, we have kind of a bunch of stuff on our plates. So we hope that this kind of short and sweet and to the point, kind of on the nose podcast episode was useful. But as always, folks, we want your feedback. Leave us comments, leave us questions, leave us concerns. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify. Wherever you're listening to this, you can probably leave a comment of some sort. We love to read them, and we love making this. So
Yeah.
help us
And
keep making this.
we also have a type form where you can
We
send
do.
us an email, which we've mentioned a number of times. What is that? Crushing1l.com.
It is crushing1l.com. It's just
Yeah.
crushing and then the number one and then L, the letter L.com, crushing1l.com.
Hmm.
But there's a million ways to get in touch with us. But regardless, if you enjoyed the episode, you could always subscribe. You could leave a review. You could leave a comment. Better yet, you could share it with somebody in your life that you think is considering law school. Tell them not to come.
Tell
Tell
them
them
not to
don't.
come.
Tell them don't do it. If you have a question, you can always write into the pod. We just told you it's crushing1l.com. You can also leave a comment or a concern or a question wherever you found this podcast. I mean, it's always a pleasure to do this podcast with you. And I'm so excited to go to law school tomorrow and just have a great day.
Yeah.
That's all, folks. I'm Abhi. That's Aaminah. Until next time, keep crushing it.